Okay, we're going to go over the quiz that you just took on dividing polynomials and the use of synthetic division. I haven't looked at the quiz yet, but this will show you how to do the problems if you had any difficulty. And I will get to grading that very shortly. This is the first problem. How many times does 2x go into 6x squared? Or 2x times what will give me 6x squared? Well, for the 2, I need to multiply that by 3. And what do you multiply x by to get x squared? That would be x. Now you're going to distribute that here. That gives you 6x squared minus 3x. Now, because you have to subtract those, you can go through and change the signs. That becomes a minus, that becomes a plus, and now you can add them. And the 6x squared subtract out, and you're left with a minus 13x plus 3x. That gives me a minus 10x. And bring down the plus 7. We're almost there. 2x times what gives me a minus 10x? Well, that would simply be a minus 5. Minus 5 times 2x is a minus 10x. And a minus 5 times a minus 1 gives you a plus 5. Now again, we're going to change the signs. That becomes a plus, and I'm just going to erase. That becomes a minus. So again, those subtract out, and you're left with 7 minus 5, which is 2. You might want to write a plus 2 because that's now our remainder. And you're going to write that as a fraction. So it is plus 2 divided by, and it's being divided by 2x minus 1. That's your final answer. The second problem was 3x squared plus 5x minus 8, and you were to divide that by x minus 2. And you were told to use synthetic division. So you write down your coefficients. We have a 3, a 5, and a minus 8. And it's always a good idea to count the number of coefficients you wrote down. You wrote down 3. That should be one more than the highest power. So that's what we've got. And it tells us that we don't need to add any zeros. The x minus 2, remember, that means x equals 2, so we put a 2 out there. Bring down the 3. 3 times 2 is 6. We add those together, we get 11. 11 times 2 is 22. And when we combine those, we get 14. So don't leave your answer like this. Your answer is going to be 3x plus 11 plus 14 divided by x minus 2. And that's what you get when you divide that. The next problem you were given x to the 5th plus 4x to the 4th minus 8 divided by x plus 1. You should notice at this point that if that's a 5, we're missing some terms here. So we have an x to the 5th, that has a coefficient of 1. We have an x to the 4th, it has a coefficient of 4. Then the terms that are missing have coefficients of 0. So there is no x to the 3rd, there is no x squared, and there is no x. And then we have a constant that's negative 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's one more than the highest exponent. And we're going to divide by x plus 1, so we put a minus 1 out there. Bring down the 1. 1 times negative 1 is negative 1. 4 plus negative 1 is 3. 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. That gives you negative 3. Negative 3 times negative 1 is 3. That gives you 3. 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. Bring that down. And negative 3 times negative 1 is a positive 3. So our remainder is negative 5. And then, so the answer to this would be x to the 4th plus 3x to the 3rd minus 3x squared plus 3x minus 3 minus 5 over x plus 1. Make sure you have enough room to get the whole answer in. The next problem, those were the two you were just supposed to use synthetic division. Problem number 4 gave you x to the 4th plus 2x to the 3rd minus 15x squared minus 32x minus 16. And it asked if x minus 4 is a factor. Okay, looks like there's a lot of terms, but just to make sure, there's an x to the 4th, the 3rd, the 2nd, the 1st, and a constant. So we have all the terms. We do not need to add any zeros. The coefficient of the 4, x to the 4th, is 1, and then 2, negative 15, negative 32, and negative 16. And to tell if that's a factor, that means we're checking to see if x equals 4 is the solution. So, synthetic division, bring down the first term. 1 times 4 is 4. That gives me 6. 6 times 4 is 24. Gives me 9. 9 times 4 is 36. That gives me 4. 4 times 4 is 16. And when I combine those, I get 0. That means that x minus 4 is a factor. And if you factor that out, you will be left with x to the third plus 6x squared plus 9x plus 4. Now, you didn't have to write this out, but right now, this is what you have found. The factors of that polynomial would be x minus 4 times x cubed plus 6x squared plus 9x plus 4. But what you didn't need to write this out. I'm just showing you that. But what you did need to write out is x minus 4 is a factor. Always make sure when you're taking a test or a quiz or whatever it is, that you answer the question that's asked. Don't expect an instructor to be able to look at your work and know that you know the answer. Okay? You might have all the right work, but you might not know what that tells you. And in this case, it told you that that was a factor. Okay, that was problem number 4, and there was one more problem. The problem was (2x squared minus 9x minus 56. And I asked you if x minus 8 is a factor. There's a question mark there. I didn't tell you how to do this problem. But if you did what everything else on the test was, and you did synthetic division, you have a 2, a -9, and a -56. That doesn't seem like very many coefficients, but there's 3 of them, and our highest power is an x squared. So that's all we need. And we would put an 8 out here. Bring down the 2, that gives you 16. 16 minus 9 gives you 7. 7 times 8 is 56. You get a remainder of 0. And yes, it is a factor. And again, just so you can see, what you're left with is 2x plus 7. Now, I said I didn't tell you how to do this problem, and I did that intentionally because if you're good at factoring, anyone that has difficulty with factoring, the way I just did this problem is a good way to do it, because you don't have to worry about what do I do when there's a number out in front of the x squared. I don't know how to factor it. Teachers have showed you how to do things with putting numbers here and here, but you really didn't understand that. Then use synthetic division, and that worked out very well for this one. However, if you're good at factoring, you would see that x minus 8 times 2x plus 7, that's really all you had to show. But again, if you can't get that any other way, use synthetic division. That is how you're supposed to do the problems on the quiz. I hope you did well on it. If not, and you need to ask more questions, either ask in class for those of you that meet with me, or you can come to my office hours, or if it's something that we can do using email, you can send me an email. The difficulty is sometimes it's much harder to put things in words in an email than it is just to show you how to do it in a virtual office hour where I can bring up a whiteboard and just show you. So I hope this helps you, and be prepared for another quiz on Wednesday.